And we're back with another episode of On the Record with Tiffany. And today I have one of my favorite guests, a new guest, but one of my favorite people, Ms. Laura Thompson, the CEO and president of TAAN TV. She's the fierce, feisty, fun Laura. So Laura, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're so happy to have you here today.
Good morning. Good morning. As Tiffany said, my name is Laura Thompson. I am the CEO and creator of TAAN TV, the African American network, where we have a local feel with a global reach. It's difficult to tell people about myself without knowing specifically what you want to know, because there's a lot of different layers. But in terms of TAAN TV and what I do with TAAN TV, we're a digital television network. We broadcast live and video on demand on 7 different platforms simultaneously. We provide content for African Americans to give African Americans a voice, an authentic voice coming directly from the mouths of African American people. So I'm excited.
So what made you decide that you would be the voice of authenticity? Like what was it about what you heard out there? What made you think, hey, I've got a place. There's a place for me and for what I'm creating.
I don't know. I started working with the internet in 1995 when it first came out, and I got invited to come over and look at how the internet worked. And so when I saw it, I said, we could probably do something with television on that, with the internet. I didn't know what at the time. Mm-hmm. But even before that, I went to a summer camp at Trinity University, and I took radio and television, where they kind of took us on a tour of what broadcasting was all about, how they broadcast on television and radio and all that. And I was intrigued by the television part of it. Mm-hmm. I got a chance to be in the control room and actually on the floor to kind of ride around on the cameras with the cameraman and
wow,
and kind of get that experience. And from that day on, really, I was probably maybe in the 3rd or 4th grade. Mm-hmm. And I always wanted to do something with television, but I didn't know what. After I graduated from high school, I wanted to be an anchor woman, because I didn't see any African American anchor woman on television until I moved to Houston, and then I saw an African American anchor woman. So I always wanted to do something in television, and so and then prior to that, I've dedicated most of my adult life to highlighting the achievements of African Americans and, working with inner city kids to, give them exposure to things that other kids were exposed to. And so I just wanted to tell a more positive story. I didn't see a lot of positive stories in mainstream media about African Americans. And so I've just been pro-African American since I was a kid. I didn't like history because I didn't see a lot of success stories about African Americans. So I said, I'm gonna write some success stories. So I've got a newspaper. I told my dad early on I was gonna have a newspaper to give away free so that we could tell stories about the people in our community. And he asked me, how are you gonna make money? I said, I don't know, I haven't figured that part out yet. But I know I just want to do it. So I did that. So I've always worked in media and in a capacity to share information that is positive and uplifting for the African American community, and also to educate general market on, that there's more than one side to or perspective for them to look at when they look at African Americans.
I love that you always present multiple perspectives. Like anybody who hasn't looked at TAAN TV, that's what you get. There are lots of different nuances within the Black community and outside of the Black community, and you managed to pull it all in and give us a glimpse of everything.
Right. And I mean, then I worked in advertising too, in radio. And so it was, and, television and the internet as well. And it's always been, for a small business, has been cost prohibitive for small businesses, African Americans included, to be able to, spend enough money in mainstream media or to afford it in order to, get the benefits of, making their businesses prosper. And so, that was another thing that was kind of a reason why I wanted to do something. And I'm glad that we're streaming now, because it makes it really affordable for small business owners to get to invest advertising dollars. But I also like to give them an opportunity to come on and talk about their businesses. So it's just it is television, just like any other television network. It just happens to focus on the African American market, and it just happens to be digital, but it's still television.
What has the pandemic done to those advertising avenues? Has that increased your business?
Well, it's increased our business. It's increased our reach. We're able to reach people globally. We've interviewed and spoken with people as far as India and Canada and all across the nation as a result of the pandemic. And thanks to Zoom,
right?
And these, these platforms that allow you to broadcast out to other platforms. We've been able to build a more robust network where more people are able to watch, and we don't really have to spend a whole bunch of marketing dollars, although it takes marketing dollars as well. But just the fact that we're able to really have that local feel with the global reach. The pandemic has allowed us to do that. And before, we were having to do a lot of production on location, or we would have to travel to do production. Then we would have to have it edited and have all the post-production work done, and then air it and hope people would see it. But the pandemic has really kind of been a game changer for us.
You know what? That's an interesting thing that you're saying there, because a lot of people are finding that their businesses are increasing because of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Because I talked to a pastor recently, and he said that business had increased by 3 or 4 times for many of his churches. Not all of them, but many of them. It was a pastor who's over multiple churches. Mm-hmm. And, I wonder if some businesses did see an increase, but other businesses ended up shuttered venues, like the in-person places. Yeah,
I think the brick and mortar businesses did, suffer. And, they had to suffer. Well, they didn't have to suffer. I guess you could think of a different way to do business. And some people did, they got creative. But the brick and mortar businesses, if you're not there, you don't have foot traffic. You still have a lot of expenses, but you don't have, that's
the overhead.
Income. Yeah.
You have the overhead, but you don't have the income. Mm-hmm. That's what we found as well, with being based on in-person visits and events. When your revenue is generated from events, mm-hmm. and the events just disappear mm-hmm. because people cannot gather, that requires you to come up with something else.
Yeah, but people got really creative though, especially mm-hmm. the entertainment industry. It was a game changer for the entertainment industry. They kind of I think everybody kind of got thrown for a loop at first, mm-hmm. And then, we're, resilient people.
Entertainers,
Figure it out.
Right.
and we figure it out. And so I'm super excited, and I want to thank you for, inviting me to come on and talk a little bit to this native San Antonian.
I always enjoy visiting with you, Laura. I learn a lot about people and about our community every time. So this is my first time having you on my show, but I've been on your show. I've been on Coffee Break. I've been on Vance's show. Hey, Vance. How you doing?
TAAN at night in the room.
Oh, that's right. In the room now. In the room is the panel kind of cutting edge discussion about all kinds of topics, whatever is the latest topic. I think our the last one was Bill Cosby and Bill Cosby's situation, which was very interesting. If you haven't watched In the Room and the Cosby discussion, then you should go to TAAN TV and take a look at it. TAANTV.com.
Right. TAAN.TV.
TAAN.TV. Sorry, yes. TAAN.TV. Okay. And go check it out.
Yeah. It was an
but today, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I just said it was an interesting conversation, wasn't it?
It was. Yes, it was. Everybody had their own perspective, and I just loved that. I love that. It really ran the gamut of thought on what's happening with the world, and specifically with Bill Cosby. So that was interesting. But we are here to take a little listen to what you have to say about work is the new hustle. Now, I just want to remind my listeners that we are listening to On the Record with Tiffany and my special guest, the CEO and president of TAAN TV. And you can find TAAN TV at TAAN, TAAN.TV. Anywhere, and you can listen to them anywhere that you download podcasts. TAAN TV has anything you want and everything you need. They have a local feel, but a global reach.
Yes.
And this is Miss Laura Thompson, the president and CEO of TAAN TV. All right, Laura, you got to tell us about Work is the New Hustle. Yeah, how did you come up with the name?
Work is the New Hustle. Well, it's great. I walk every morning. At least I plan to walk every morning, but most mornings I walk about 5 miles. And so I was walking and I saw a little boy struggling with a trash receptacle. And so then he dropped some trash and he was picking it up. And so I was asking him if he needed some help. And he said, no, I got it. And so he had to be 7 or 8 years old, maybe younger, I don't know. But he struggled and he put the trash receptacle out. And so, then in some parts of the area where I was walking, there was trash on the ground. And so I was saying, he's a good worker. And I told him, I said, you're a really good worker. You did a good job. Congratulations. And so he said, yeah, some parts of it I like and some I don't like. And so, I was just thinking that there needs to be some kind of way that we could teach our kids to keep the communities clean. And like you pass by, some grass is cut, some is not cut, some's well manicured, some's not. And so I said we could come up with some kind of program where the kids can work in the community. And then I thought about the word hustle and the how sometimes when we think about hustle, or when kids think about hustle, they don't really think about the most positive thing about hustle. They might think that, it's a drug dealer or something that you might not want them to think about. Mm-hmm. And so I'm saying, because I saw him hustling to get that trash out, and he was working to do that. So I was thinking, and every time I
You're
walked
taking
out,
that definition back to what it was when we were kids.
and so I came up with the name "Work is a New Hustle," and so I was just walking, and I was trying to. I always think of ideas when I walk, but I kept thinking and repeating it to myself so I wouldn't forget it, and because I knew I had 5 miles to walk. So, so then I thought about HEB, and I said, well, hustlers have to eat, so you work and you hustle on your job so you can get a paycheck, and part of that money goes to food. So I reached out to HEB to see if they could support it, and they did. Then I saw a VIA bus, and I was like, VIA, takes workers to work. So I was just thinking of all these different ideas. And I thought about the Proposition B, where the vote was split 50-50, and with the police officers. And I said, we need to start getting kids familiar with policemen and help them to build a relationship with police officers. So it's like I have a lot of different perspectives about most things. That this program has a lot of different perspectives. And so, I said, okay, I have to get a big player in order to attract other people. And so I reached out to HEB. They were on board right away. So then I approached Alonzo Hart, and he's the president of the San Antonio Black Police Officers Coalition, and met with him, he and the vice president of their organization. And so they were all in. So then I had a friend with Comerica Bank that I worked with. She moved up to a national position, but she referred us to their state representative that handled different markets. And so we got them on board. So then we got 100 Black Men and SACAM. So we got all of these major players in, probably within a week and a half to 2 weeks. And so that's basically how it started. It started with an idea. And so every time I go and speak before people or kids, I always say everything starts with a dream. It starts with an idea. And then I talk about the place that we're in. This place started with an idea. It just didn't pop up. And so, I like to get kids to get exposure to a lot of different things so they can make a good decision about, what they like and what they want to be when they grow up. So the components of the program, and I don't know if I'm talking too much, but the components of the program is a financial literacy part of it, where they learn financial literacy. The other part is the work part of it, where they learn how to keep their communities clean. And so they get rewarded. HEB has donated $50 gift cards for each kid that completes the program. They get a gift card, and then we take them shopping so that once they learn how to manage money and budget money, they can also buy groceries, because when you work, you got to budget money for food. And so
that's right.
So you won't be able to eat. It won't be worth it. That's one of the main things you work for, so you can have the ability to eat and feed your family. And so, and then the Comerica Bank is going to provide the financial literacy part of it. 100 Black Men is going to provide support for the financial literacy part of it, because they also, teach kids financial literacy and money management. We've already gone on one boat ride with SACAM, so we're taking the kids on boat rides with the police officers so that they can build a relationship there. We just had a pep rally to kick off the program and signed up some kids to participate in the program from there. So it's a multifaceted program, but that's how life is. You work, right? You have to work hard. And you earn money so that you can eat. You learn how to manage your money and budget it so that you can budget for fun too, so they have fun. Commissioner Calvert is going to take them on a tour next month to all of the county facilities so they can learn about how the county works. San Antonio police officers are going to take them on a tour to the police academy so they can learn, all of the things that you have to do and the hard work that you have to endure and put in order to become a police officer. So, I'm super excited about it because, the kids are excited about it. The parents are very excited about it. It is a progressive program. It's a pilot program right now. We're running it from this summer through the end of the year. So we'll have many other types of activities to build on the program so that adults can also get involved in it and start those conversations with police officers about how to continue to build those relationships and to keep our community safe on both sides. It's the role that us as citizens and people in the community have to do, and the police officers. And police officers are part of our community as well, so we have to understand that.
I love your vision. You need to change your thing from your opener from fierce and feisty to visionary. Fierce and feisty visionary. Because that's a lot of things that you're drawing together, but they all work. It all works to kind of move people down the field in the conversation for, because we keep having the same conversation about the police and how they're interacting with our youth. And the best way to have anybody interact is when they can see a person for what they are. When you see a child and you're working with a child, then you your heart can't help but be filled, and it changes how you interact.
And they like we were on the boat ride, and so the former public information officer got up and spoke. And then he asked him, like, how many people do you think on the police force? And one little kid said 5. And one said 200, but it's actually 2,000 actual police officers. And then there's another 1,000 that, work in different capacities, like undercover, DEA, SWAT. Wow. So there's a lot of, even adults don't know a lot of that information about police officers. And then he said, how many police officers do you think are on this boat? Because he was the only one that was dressed in his uniform. And when they stood up, they were like, wow, I didn't know you were a police officer, because they were just talking to him and having a, conversation with him. So, they get to find out that police officers are people too. So they're not just, he said, we go home, we have families, we eat, we do everything y'all do.
And some of those police officers look just like us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that, you're facilitating a completely different type of conversation, which is what we love here at On the Record with Tiffany. We love to bring people on that are thinking outside of the box and who are making a difference for our community, who are actually, our not just hometown heroes, but sheroes in general, who are out there trying to pioneer a different tomorrow. Yeah. So I'm thankful to you for that, Laura, that you're thinking about our kids and thinking about our community and what it's going to look like for the next generation, instead of I love the fact that you don't just have a conversation about what you're unhappy about, but you always look to try and solve a problem. Let's think of a way to solve the problem instead of complain about the problem.
Mm-hmm. So the vote was 50-50 with the Proposition B. So, you got a group of people over here that feel they won and a group of people that felt they lost. So you're still in the same position as you were. You spend a lot of money campaigning. As a matter of fact, $1 million. It was $600,000 on one entity, and 400,000 on the other. So they spent $1 million and still were in the same place. And so we got to do something different.
So I'm guessing you didn't spend $1 million to take the kids on a boat ride and do all of those things, right?
No.
Costs a whole lot less, and you got a whole lot further.
Right. And, everybody had fun. One person was talking about, the mental health part of it, and they need to be evaluated. And I said, that's true. They may need to be evaluated, but they might not have, some type of mental illness or problem when they first come in. But by nature of the job, they could see something and just snap.
This is in reference to the police officers, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so, I said, I think it's better therapy to actually work and build relationships with people opposed to sitting on the couch for 30 minutes and just kind of talking about it. And you're still not really proactively doing a lot about it. So.
Right. Because, one of the things that I like about work is the new hustle is, I just think it's totally innovative when you look at the level of division that's there right now, like across the country, across this city, and every time the subject of police and minorities comes up, you can see everybody posting up their guard. But with something like work is the new hustle, that causes people to let their guard down and want to engage with it and want to engage with the kids.
And it's ongoing. It's not just we do this and that's it. It's an ongoing process.
It's not a one and done.
Right. That's what Alonzo always says. It's not a one and done. And so, even with the chief of police, we met with him and he really he said, wow, we came up with this and we like this. So, at some point, we might go take it, expand it across the city. Right now, we're focusing on District 2 because that's where some of the Black police officers work. But we had a press conference and some of the older retired police officers came out, and one of them, because I've been doing these programs since the 90s, and so one of the guys that used to be on security when we had different events, he was there, and I was like, oh my God, it's Steve Christian. I remember he used to come out and support all of our youth events back in the day. So it was kind of like a deja vu type thing to see, wow, that people they still have an interest in the community as police officers. They still, and then they have a job also. So it's kind of a catch-22, because they were hired to protect and serve, and they've been shown in a negative sense, by a few police officers, but there's a lot of good men and women out there that are out there to do their job. But they also, you'll be amazed at the number of hours they spend doing community service. I was asking Alonzo, when do you work? But he's a safe officer, so that's part of his job is to make sure that police officers stay engaged in the community.
And I love that. I love that you're highlighting that fact, because there are so many good police officers out there that are doing what they should be doing. I'm 100% for us getting rid of the ones who aren't doing their job, because they shouldn't be there. But we have to uplift and uphold the ones who are doing a good job and who are volunteering and trying to make our community better. Not just policing the community, but make the community better by giving their time and their energy to the youth. in a
I commend
productive
them.
way.
Yeah, I commend them because they have a hard job.
Yeah. It's a hard job. It's a scary job.
Mm-hmm. They never know what they're going to walk into. So.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm thankful to them for the work that they do for us as human beings and as citizens. And I love that you've combined the two best things about our community together: the kids and the people who are our public servants, who have pledged their lives and their time to serve the public. We need to facilitate better relationships between the two of them, and you are doing exactly that. So instead of just being out there talking trash, you're out there making life for people and making a new life.
It's just like any relationship, you can sit down and hash out the issues, or you can blame each other, point the finger every day. Some people argue every day about the same thing, and nothing is resolved.
Right.
When they harm each other with their words or with their actions, and nothing is ever resolved. It's just like, you did something bad once and you're a bad person forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so, not that, what some of the police officers are doing with the extra violent behavior, I don't condone that, and I don't agree with it, but it still won't stop until we stop and take a different approach. And so that's what work is in the hustle means to me, and that's what it's about. But I've always been that kind of middle person, like, okay, yeah.
How can we fix this?
Yeah, they did that, but let's see how we can work it out and meet people where they are. People can't grow or grow with you until you meet them where they are.
Exactly. We believe that here at On the Record with Tiffany. That's the reason why I founded the show is really to facilitate dialogue and to have people think about the actions that we're taking. I wanted to do a couple of things: facilitate dialogue and also disseminate positive, accurate information, so that our public and our listeners would have the right information about what's going on in their community and wouldn't have a biased or slanted view of everything. Because you can get that from either side. You can get a biased view of the police, or a biased view of Black youth from whoever you're talking to, depending on what side you're talking to. When in reality, you've got greatness in both of these populations, and they should be working together, not against each other.
And we found, just like, there's a perception that we have to work on, as far as, even though the police officers are working with the youth, they still see them as some of them have see them as troubled youth, or inner city youth have a bad name, troubled kids, or if you're African American kids, you're troubled. And so that's not necessarily the case.
No, it's not. And a program like yours helps the police officers to see exactly that's not necessarily the case. That these children are the same as the children any place else. They just happen to live in an urban environment.
And they're very smart. Because I've worked with them. I had a reading program called Read and Lead, and I was just counting the years. It was like since 2003. And or 2000, started the reading program, then we started going out, taking the kids out in 2005. But a lot of people had these preconceived notions that the kids didn't have the ability to read. Some of the best readers, I took them to a library event with a literary group that was comprised of, mostly Anglo women that didn't work. They didn't have to work. They came from upper income families and wealthy families. And so they didn't have to work. And so they kind of viewed the kids as, these inner city kids until they heard them read. And then you could hear the whole audience crying. You could hear sniffling and seeing tears rolling down their eyes. And I said, we should be ashamed of ourselves. We should cry. Because there's no reason why, kids can't learn to read. We learn to read, and the adults supported us when we were coming up and made sure we knew how to read. We're not making sure that these kids learn how to read. And so I said, I get so tired of people that have influence get on a platform and say, if kids don't learn how to read by the time they're in the third grade, they're going to prison. There's some adults, that we met along the way when, kids read to them. And one man was in his 70s, couldn't read, owned a very prosperous auto mechanic shop. And his kids took care of the money part because he understood the money part of it, but he couldn't read. So his kids handled that part of it for him. He said he wished that there was a program like that when he was coming up so that he would be able to read, but he never learned how to read. And so I said, it doesn't mean that kids, if they don't learn how to read by third grade, that they're going to prison. So y'all need to stop saying that. So I became really good friends with the executive director for that organization, because when we first came in to join the literary organization, she rushed up to me and she said, "This is a group that we collaborate and work together to help literacy." And I said, "Well, good. That's why I'm here. So thank you." And so after I got up and spoke, she was my biggest advocate because she believed the same thing. So. And it's the same with work as a new hustle. It's just, it's a different approach to solving a problem instead of talking about the problem. Instead of just talking about the problem.
And getting everybody heated, it's a disarming way to approach it. And it's one that builds trust and builds some longevity in terms of, and can build longevity in terms of relationships.
It's just like with the literacy program tomorrow, after they learn the literacy part of it, then we're going to allow them to create their own rules. We're going to tell them, what the program is all about, and talk about some different scenarios, like talking when people, being quiet when others are talking or presenting, and what kind of rules can we put in place so they'll be able to create their own rules and learn how to govern themselves and hold each other accountable, opposed to the adult keep telling them to sit down and be quiet and don't do this. They'll learn how to govern themselves. Like whenever I'm speaking to them, I say, when someone gets up to speak, what do you do? And they said, be quiet. I said, okay. I said, I knew y'all knew it. Or then I tell them, when someone gets up after they finish speaking and they did a good job, what do you do? And they say, we clap. Okay, I knew y'all knew it. And so they just allowing them to make decisions about their behavior, because they know what's right and what's wrong. And they know what, but they also know when people care about them and when they're looking out for their best interest as well. And so sometimes as adults, we think that we have to yell and scream at them, or maybe even call them names, or do things to them to make them perform. And all you have to do is talk to them and explain to them what you want, and they'll do it because they want to participate. I find people want to participate; they want to be involved. And so, but it's just the way it's our behavior that causes people to act a certain way. And then their behavior, you have to bring that to their attention We got to communicate with each other on a level that each one of us can understand. So
what have you found that's been your best asset in coming up with these innovative programs that you
just the like with the Read and Lead program. Like, we haven't had the Workers in New Hustle long enough, but the parents are real excited. Every parent that came to the pep rally signed up their kids. They thought it was good, it was fun, innovative. Some people just came because they heard the name Workers in New Hustle. They didn't really know what it was about. So, but they came and they want their kids to be involved in something positive and something different from just the classroom. And give their kids, a great experience and exposure to new things. So, that's one thing. With Read and Lead, I could be in the grocery store and kids would say, "Mom, that's the lady with Read and Lead," and she would say, "Boy, leave that lady alone." And he would just kind of get eye contact. He wanted me to intervene. And so he was just looking at me, she is. Right, miss. And I said, yes. Yes. He said, and they loved Read and Lead. They looked forward to going. They would go on Saturday mornings and they loved it. And then the parents would support it. They would be there to support them, to bring them and drop them off when we took them on field trips. The parents would say that they stay up late at night, they get up real early in the morning to practice, and they wake up their parents at 6 in the morning, and they're supposed to be there at 9. And so
wow, but they're excited. They're ready to go.
They don't really have the concept of time, like we do. We say, well, we got about we could sleep about 10 more minutes. But they were so excited about it.
When kids are excited, they are ready. They're ready to go.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that we started them off with pre-K 3, and they went all the way up to 5th grade through the program. It was some of the same kids, and we would get new kids. And we took, as many as 113 kids on one field trip at one time. So those are the indicators that it's working, because people continue to participate. If it's not working, people drop off and they don't want to be a part of it. But the parents would come, the parents volunteered, the teachers volunteered, our group volunteered, and the kids, they knew when it was time for them to go. They would keep asking the teacher, when's our next Read and Lead? And so, they were motivated, and they studied their reading, and their scores increased on the STAR test according to the principal. So, it really worked. And I always talk to them about their conduct and how important, your conduct is. I say, you don't act the same way everywhere. Or I tell them, just break it down to them as far as reading. You read so you can know if the store is closed, or if you got to stop at a stop sign, or just, if you want to count your money, you got to know math. Mm-hmm. So, those are things that they can relate to. If you can't read and you go through a stop sign, you're not going to be able to pass, you're not going to be able to drive, because you're not going to be able to pass the driver's test. It's just so many things that you need to know how to read for, not just for math and science and all of that. You need to know that too, but just for everyday life, you need to know how to read. And so
it's a basic fundamental that you have to have.
Mm-hmm. So, and then you got to work in order to, this is another basic, you got to work in order to make money, in order to eat, in order to have fun, in order to, pay your light bill, in order to have lights, you have to have water, you got to do all of those things. And money helps you to do that, but you got to work.
And you're absolutely right. It's reading, math, financial literacy, those things are essential to just living your regular life.
Mm-hmm. Like
So they're all gonna. That's those three things they will need for the rest of their lives.
And the one little girl said, "Well, can I just get a card?" Yeah, you can if you do the work. You can get one. You don't get paid until you work, so you can get it.
And you can do a whole lot of work and not get paid. There's a lot of things nuances to work that so you have to figure out there's a lot that goes on with work and literacy. So they might want to, this is the first step in them learning some valuable lessons.
So you get your card, you can go shop. Because they think $50 is a lot to them. They think that, wow,
it's a lot
$50 to spend, yeah. But you got to learn how to manage it. You got to put a budget together. When you get to the store, you might find out that you don't have enough, or you might find out that you did really well and you can save some of it and go back again next time. So you just gotta work it out. But I've done, summer camps where one was called Camp Startup. That wasn't mine, but I licensed it. And then I had one called Camp Logo that I would do simultaneously with Camp Startup. And the kids would have to, they pick a job that they wanted and how much money they want to make. And then they look and find out that their job doesn't really pay as much. So they said what kind of house they want and all of that stuff first. And then they find out that the job don't pay near enough for them to get.
To support that particular lifestyle that they have decided they want.
Yeah. So it's, I just love it. I just even with the workforce, when I was in the workforce, I couldn't work for people long because I had to work my own hours. And I like to get stuff done, and they were going too slow for me. So I always ended up doing something on my own because I didn't want to. And I didn't like to be up real early in the mornings to come to work and then start. Then everybody would just be sitting around drinking coffee and not doing any work. So I would always come to work late, but I get in trouble. So I said, I'm going to do something on my own.
Well, we're all glad that you did something on your own because if it weren't for TAAN TV and for your hustle, we wouldn't have work is the new hustle. That word, see, when I hear the word hustle, I remember hustle from as a little kid, and hustle meant that you were working your hiney off and putting a lot of effort into doing whatever it is that you're doing. So if you were hustling, you were making it happen. And it had no it was not, the connotation was not connected to drugs or to anything like that. It was work ethic. That's what it was.
But if you look in the dictionary, what you just said, the work ethic part is a secondary definition. So the definition in the dictionary is not necessarily the most positive, because I looked it up and I said, wow, this is not, we want to redefine hustle.
Back to this. We want to go back to the secondary definition, which used to be the primary definition. It used to be the primary definition, but as we know,
some other things came into play.
Well, and dictionaries evolve, like the meaning of words, the meanings of words evolve over time, and so they'll change them as slang takes over or new things take over. Like crazy things end up in the dictionary now that you're like, I didn't even know this was was a word and not the word, But yeah, I like the idea of taking it back to that, making that secondary definition the primary one. And you have been listening to another episode of On the Record with Tiffany, with the fierce and fearless visionary Laura Thompson. And if you did not get to hear the entire episode, you can go listen to us or check out TAAN TV, TAAN.TV. Check it out. and listen to some of Laura's programming, or go and check out Work is the New Hustle. So you too can join in with the latest movement to unify and connect our community. And again, you've been listening to On the Record with Tiffany, where we bring on different types of people from all walks of life so we can hear what they're doing. We love Sheroes, and thank you, one of my favorite Sheroes, Laura Thompson.
Thank you.